Okay, it's Wednesday, February 1st, and this is a SPY recap, end of the day. You can see here today we end up with another green day that kind of held the midpoint of the prior day, moved up strongly, hit a lot of key targets, which I'll go over in a minute, and kind of closed, near the highs of the day. But some interesting things now going forward. But in terms of today itself, it was Fed day, so there wasn't a lot of activity in the morning. But then price exploded up after the Fed announcement. And if you look at the intraday chart today, there was an initial in the pre-market range here between the blue lines. Let me see if I can expand that out a little bit. The first bar kind of paused and then went up. I bought some calls here, seeing if we might get a little up move to start the day, because I know these targets are up here above, which I'll get to in a minute on the weekly chart. We've been talking about these targets here for a while. But anyway, I scaled out a little bit near the pre-market highs because, it's a choppy potential morning day with the Federal Reserve. And then it came all the way down. I had a break even on that trade, and I shot a video on that. Then it kind of, went kind of sideways here. And once it kind of had this big red bar, I was pretty sure it was going to take out the low of the day and kind of work down to those pre-market lows. But other than that, I didn't necessarily, still being above the halfway point of the prior day, I wasn't going to go short. It could have been a little scalp trade at the most. Then you could see it bounced around here pretty much all session long. And then we had the big Fed announcement, and I shot a video how I bought calls in here on two different occasions, and you can watch that video. And eventually the price exploded up, took out the high of the day, and closed somewhere near the high of the day. The last bar we sold off a little bit, so it's a unique day in terms of structure. Normally get the high or low of the day occurring early in the session. I guess technically the low of the day could have been here, like on the 6 bar, and this just tested it quickly. But anyway, unique day with Federal Reserve. You kind of want to be out of the market and kind of judge what's happening. And once price set up this way, it set up some liquidity down here to take out a few times. Before it wanted to go up. That's what all this choppiness was really doing, setting up. And actually the first move went up. It took out some highs here, then lows, high, and that's what it does. So anyway, that's today. Now going forward, what happens is on the weekly chart now, we're really at potential exhaustion risk because we've hit some key targets. That's what we've been waiting for, that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is like the 6th week now we've been anticipating this could be hit. Now that it's hit, you got to be a little careful. I'm not saying, you're going to get a reversal, but we have the first day of the month, formed today. So that starts up green on the first day of the month. We have the open of the month to monitor now. So as long as we stay above there, we can, continue to look for buy opportunities. And since it's an inside month, inside breakout of this month, we reached our targets, including this bar. It could fail up here. And then if we come back down through the open and then the halfway point of that month, there could be a failure. Although I'm not necessarily anticipating that. It's just something to monitor for. So really on the daily chart now, where's that yellow line? Yeah, the yellow line here, this is the weekly line where it would have turned the week back to red. Now we have the open of today. I'll move it up here. That's the open of the month. So as long as we stay above there, we'll be biased to the upside. If we pull back here a little bit, let's just see if we get a kind of a 2 down, 2 up reversal to keep that month going green. This first day of the month is going to be and this opening price is going to be a good reference point going forward. I think we're at a little exhaustion risk here, but I still think this follow through higher. If we look at the weekly chart, what's happening here is we're in this fair value gap. So we can get all the way up here into that 419 area, and maybe you get a reversal then before turning. Next targets are way up here if we really want to expand past these targets. But we're going to find out in the, on the daily chart now what really happens here. Is this a failure, or is this a pause area, or do we get strong continuation? Obviously, those are the 3 choices all the time. But now that we hit a key level, we really got to look for that. So anyway, we were biased to the upside. And price eventually, we've been talking about that for a long time now, heading up. There's been a lot of good buy opportunities along the way. So now that we've reached our target, we got to really kind of pay attention to, what happens next. For, any kind of failure will first happen on the daily chart here, below the midpoint of this day and breaking down below that yellow line, maybe getting a 2 down day. A failure on the weekly chart at this point with 2 days to go in the week. We'll have to see probably it would have to really sell off and have a shooter looking bar. If not, then we'll just have to wait till next week to see if we get a 2 down. So the failures, will take a little time to unfold. But for now, we reach targets. Let's see if momentum continues higher or if we get a little bit. Wouldn't be surprising to get pause action, but we'll just have to, as always, watch the opening price action tomorrow relative to the pre-market range and keep a lot of these key levels in mind.